Hello everyone. I want to talk today a little bit about loyalty. Loyalty is considered something that can be national in a tribal way, something that can be considered religious in a spiritual way, and something that can be considered personal to family and friends. But loyalty, what is that substance that makes it up? That truly makes up loyalty? Loyalty is that collective consciousness of a particular group. What we identify with in our attempt to find a place among people who are like us or who we want to be like. It's not an easy thing to take down one's individuality to accept a group or be part of a group. But people do it because of a general instinct in humanity to be a part of something and continue on in this life with this group, whether they're political, religious, national, it doesn't matter. But an idea that one wants to join a tribe. This general idea exists amongst all humans that one should be a part of something, and it's very tribal in a sense. And I'd say that nationalism, the idea that we should fight for our country and no other country, our country should be the one we are concerned about, that's a very tribal idea. Overall, the wars in all countries and all throughout humanity have been fought because of that tribal idea that my country is the best, I need to figure out what's the best for my country and fight for that. That is what has caused most wars in the world, is the idea that we are divided amongst nations, and that in order to ensure our individual survival, we each need to fight for our country. Now, this is the case for religion as well. Religion has to do more with not where you were born, but maybe the group you were born into. Most people take up the religion that their parents follow, or that their community follows, or that their friends follow. It's always an association with familiar people, familiar environment, familiar ideology, familiar understanding, familiar interpretation, something that you are familiar with. That's the religion you usually identify with. Now, if you grew up in a family or a community that's very anti-religious or only follows a political ideal that is anti-religious, then it's unlikely you'll become religious. Because even if you grow up among religious people, it's more likely you'll become an atheist or agnostic than it is if you grow up among atheists or agnostics and become a religious. And this actually includes me. I grew up around basically just my parents. I went to school and many people believed in God, but I didn't really understand what God was. I just listened to people and kind of wondered about why the other kids believe this or that in elementary school before looking up online on my own the different religious explanations for every idea set about God or about philosophy or about these general ideas about what reality is and why it exists. But I don't want to get into that right now. Basically what I'm saying is that I'm kind of the exception. I grew up with parents that didn't talk about religion or philosophy or where the universe was created or how it was created. I didn't ask them by the time I was wondering. I was old enough to wonder because I did not think that they knew. But I'm kind of the exception. If you grew up around people who do not believe in God, it's very unlikely that you'll turn to God. Turn to an idea of God or gods, or some kind of a spiritual interpretation of reality. But if you grow up around religious people in general, it's more likely that you'll be anti-religious, but only a slightly bit more. It's more likely that you'll become a part of that religion. And this is where loyalty comes into it. You have a subconscious desire to be loyal to those who have been around you since you were born, and what they believe. And now loyalty comes down to how you associate yourselves with those who you feel have provided you with a home or a community, and how you associate with other people is usually through ideology. You might have, the general interactions of friendly interactions with neighbors or in a community or family members that are nearby about, what happened at this gathering, who are we to each other, how did the game go last week, things like that. But those are more social. They don't really come down to the same depth of loyalty that I'm talking about. The same depth of loyalty has to do with very deep ideas, either political, religious, nationalistic, but they all have a hint of tribalism. All loyalty does, until you get to the higher degrees of really figuring out who you are and why you are who you are and how you are separate and can be separate from other people, and be stronger for it. But those are degrees of loyalty to God or philosophy or political ideal that are far past most people, or at least most young people, but past many old people as well. But that's the highest level of loyalty, is identification with something that you identify with regardless of what family or community you're around. And the only way that loyalty can work out for us as humans, the only way we can continue on and become better than we are, and better than we've ever been in the past, is that we set aside this loyalty for nationality in favor of a loyalty for humanity. And in a way, we should set aside our insistence upon our religion. And we can still follow whatever religion we believe in. I'm Hindu and Asatwa. But we set these aside in one way. We set these aside in the sense that we accept others for their religious beliefs, despite our own. Even if our own suggests that we should convert them or try to tell them about what we believe, we should set that aside and try to come together in a common understanding in humanity. Everyone around the world wants to change everyone else's mind. And that is not only is it not realistic, it is counterproductive to peace. If you can't change someone else's mind and you really believe that they have to believe as you believe, conflict is going to ensue. So, you can hint at what you believe. You can explain what you believe to them. You can say, I believe this, you believe that. But if you cannot insist in any arena, whether it be common society in the United States or society in another nation or militaristic exchanges, you can't, or political exchanges in the commons or the government itself. You can insist that somebody believes like you if they have listened to your argument but do not agree with it. And this is something that tears the world apart. When somebody doesn't agree with you and you're so sure that you're right, you want to hold on to the idea that you're right, that there is no other way that reality could exist or that the ideas of politics can function. You believe you are right. You want to hold on to that, and you try to make other people hold on to the same thing to attach themselves to you so you'll have more to hold on to. That's what makes people so violent, when they realize that they can't get another person of some other belief system to hold on to what they're holding on and be connected to them. And the sooner we get past that, the sooner that we realize that the way to insistence upon agreement is akin to the apocalypse. Because that's the only thing that's going to happen if all nations and all peoples can't come to some understanding or agreement that we disagree. If that happens, then the only thing that can happen as a result is the destruction of the human race. There's a whole bunch of little tiny wars, proxy wars, battles, intellectual discussions, religious discussions, political discussions that aren't necessarily violent, but they can all end in violence if we don't learn to accept each other as humanity. If we don't learn to accept each other as a part of the same whole that is humanity. We have to learn. We have to learn that we have these ideas, but it's okay if other people have theirs. And the only way we should respond violently is if other people decide that they want to be aggressive or offensive towards us physically. Not necessarily ideologically or verbally, but physically. That's when we can respond, but that is the essence of true defense. We shouldn't be offensive just because somebody disagrees with us. We shouldn't be aggressive just because somebody disagrees with us. So really, our ultimate loyalty should be to humanity. Because that's the only way our ideas are going to survive. Anybody's ideas are going to survive if we accept that we have to come together as a humanity before anyone can believe anything. Loyalty to humanity is not easy. It means that you're in the few. That you rather be loyal to the progress and existence of humanity, the continued peace of humanity, more than any of your other ideas. Loyalty to humanity in that way must be above all other loyalties. And, I believe that loyalty to humanity is synonymous with loyalty to God, because they're not two separate loyalties. And the same goes with many political and other religious ideas. But our desire to coexist and our ability and our effort to coexist must come first if we are to coexist. Be loyal to humanity. Be loyal to your fellow humans. Be loyal to peace. And we will progress. And the right ideas will win in the end. Not through violence, but through peaceful understanding among a harmonized humanity. And that's all I got to say. Be loyal to humanity, my friends. Thank you.